The Silk Road was the world's first international commercial highway. It connected two of the world's greatest empires: the producer of silk, China, and the consumer of silk, the Romans.
It was a vast network of trading that goes across Central Asia into India and China.
The Silk Road really didn't exist with markers and milestones as much as it was commercial trading routes.
Imagine going down a road where all of your dreams and riches come true. Trade played an important role in the ancient civilizations. It expanded people's horizons from different parts of the world to new ideas. The Silk Road was a system of trade routes that connected Europe to Eastern Asia. It was primarily discovered by Shang Qiang. Around 100 BCE, he was sent to negotiate with nomads of the West and returned to the Han Emperor with stories about outside civilizations, emphasizing the exotic goods he found. After hearing Shang's discoveries, Han sent merchants to travel to the west so they could trade jade and silk for horses and cotton. These were the first trades that occurred and what began the concept of the Silk Road. Trade was the original strategy in making money and acquiring new goods from other people they would encounter. While people explored new territories, they would exchange new ideas, technology, and foreign materials. With new tools and goods, civilizations would continue to advance in their own society's growth. The road was the largest trade route of its time, connecting a continent as a whole. The creation of the Silk Road had many different outcomes, one being expansion. Expansion came in several different ways along the Silk Road. It made countries want to become larger and conquer other countries
But global
because the
exchange
more land
itself is
and goods
older than we
obtained,
think,
the more
reaching
profit
back
a
over
country would make.
2,000 years along a
This
5,000
caused
mile
people to
stretch known
constantly
as
be
the
at
Silk
war with
Road.
others because
The
everyone
Silk
wanted
Road
the
wasn't
most land.
actually a single road,
Also,
but a network
not
of
only did the
multiple routes that
civilizations that were
gradually emerged
connected
over
by the Silk
centuries,
Road expand
connecting to various
physically,
settlements
they
and to each
expanded
other.
mentally as well. All people and countries involved with the Silk Road expanded their knowledge. The more people knew than others, the larger advantage they had because other merchants would have to buy from them, since only the one place knew how to make it. All the civilizations involved with the Silk Road had an exponential amount of more knowledge than who was not. This was because the Silk Road required people to think of inventions and even innovations in order for them to make more of a profit than others. The increase of knowledge also increased the amount of competition, and more supplies were constantly being thought of and created, making life in the ancient world better and easier. One of the most lasting legacies the Silk Road created was bringing contact between cultures and people. For example, merchants had to learn the languages and customs of the civilizations they traveled through in order to negotiate trade successfully. They had to know what the other person was saying to ensure they weren't getting robbed out of a deal. When people moved to new countries, it furthermore increased the amount of diversity because people of different cultures were living amongst each other. Culture was also spread by people sharing their beliefs with one another along the road. The Silk Road became known for the spread of Buddhism around the world, especially into China.
The network
Buddhism was
of
a
Greek,
peaceful religion
Egyptian,
that
Persian, and
originated in
Indian
India.
culture and trade
This
extended
religion
farther
spread by
east than
Buddhist
ever
monks
before,
traveling to
laying the
different societies and
foundations for a
sharing their
bridge
beliefs
between.
with others. When monks shared their ideas to Chinese cities, the Han Emperor became very interested in it. Eventually, Buddhism became the most popular religion practiced in the Chinese Empire.
The Silk Road was the ultimate trade route of the ancient world. It provided a way for countries all throughout Asia and Europe to connect, selling each other supplies the other needed. Different places along the Silk Road each brought something different to trade that the other needed. China had silk and porcelain, India had spices and dyes, and Europe had fur skins, cattle, and honey. The more a place had to offer another, the more merchants and barterers would want to trade with them. Luxury items were highly wanted by everyone because they were so rare. An excellent example
Originating
is
in
silk.
India, Buddhism
Silk
migrated
is
to
made
China and
using
Japan to
silkworm's
become the
waste.
dominant religion
Silk
there.
was a luxury item
Islam
that everyone
spread from
wanted
the
that
Arabian
sold for
Peninsula
very
into
high
South
prices
Asia,
because
blending with
nobody knew
native
how to make
beliefs
it
and
other
leading to
than
new faiths
China.
like Sikhism.
Other luxury
And
items
gunpowder made its
consisted
way
of
from China
ivory,
to the Middle East,
silk,
forging the
porcelain,
features of the
and more.
Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal
Most
empires.
luxury items were materials that only certain countries knew how to make because they did not want other countries to be able to make it for themselves. This created monopolies because the Chinese could sell silk for the highest prices they wanted, and merchants would have to take that price because no one else knew how to make the material other than China. The more silk a place had, the wealthier the country would be, with higher rank and power.
Merchants along the Silk Road did not travel extremely far. They went a certain distance, then traded the supplies and materials they had. After this, they would turn around and trade the materials they just obtained. Since most merchants only had traveled a certain distance and it was not far, indirect trading occurred. Indirect trading was a good being passed through many different hands, and as the material was traded through different people, the price was raised each time for the merchant to make a profit from what they had sold. In conclusion, because ideas and inventions were being passed along the routes, new opportunities appeared to seize power. From this, the impact of the Silk Road had obviously affected the people of that time. Also, the future of civilizations taking part on these routes would be affected as well. Economies flourished from new trade partners. Civilizations would expand easier, and rulers as well as the future rulers had new desires from the power of the Silk Road. And though the road itself may just look like a dirt path with caravans riding through it, it was much more. The Silk Road is considered the world's first World Wide Web. This is because if you wanted to discover new things you've never known before, the Silk Road was your way to go. It also brought an entire continent together, diminishing the oceans, mountains, and deserts that once separated it. The modern world today would not be the same without the creation of the Silk Road.